What is going on, you guys? My name is Cody Thixton, and this is Interesting Podcast. Coming to you guys on March 12th, 2023 for episode 35, where today we actually have some WWE and AEW news. AEW Fight Forever could be delayed due to a legal battle. Plus, Rey Mysterio is to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. A WWE star is suffering from an arm injury, and then a rumor killer on the Stone Cold Steve Austin vs. LA Knight match that has been rumored for this year's WrestleMania. We're going to break down everything and then discuss it all right here and right now on Interesting Podcast. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And before we actually get started, I do want to give out an apology to everybody because of the fact that me and my co-host Antonio were unable to go live last night like we had advertised for episode 35 of the best era in WWE. Which era was it? We were unable to go live due to the fact that I had ran into some trouble with my computer. But I actually ordered a brand new battery pack for it, so hopefully that will actually really help it out and we can get it back into regular order. But we will actually do that podcast in the future, and that will actually be something on our list that we will be bringing to you guys as soon as possible. And just to let you guys know before we get started, me and Antonio actually have some pretty big announcements coming your guys' way when it comes to Interesting Podcast and what we have going on going forward. It's going to be really freaking awesome, and I'm really excited to break all of these things with you guys. But we are going to do that next time that we are live with Antonio. So let's get right into this, man. This is going to be really interesting. AEW Fight Forever could be delayed due to a legal battle. And as always, this is being brought to you guys by the Spotlight News. This is what they had to say. 3 years ago, All Elite Wrestling announced its first video game at the AEW Games 1.0 special event. The game is developed by Yuke's and published by THQ Nordic. Last year, AEW President Tony Khan told the fans that the title of the game would be AEW Fight Forever. Recently, the company was able to obtain a T rating, meaning teen, for the game. However, it didn't release yet. It appears that AEW has to face another problem regarding AEW Fight Forever, which will delay the video game's release date even more. AEW trademarked the name AEW Fight Forever under merchandise and video games purposes on March 21st, 2022. In 2021, GCW held an event called Fight Forever, which aired for 24 hours. Therefore, GCW trademarked the name Fight Forever on July 21st, 2022 for entertainment services. GCW is now opposing the registration of AEW Fight Forever. Mike Dawkins, the lawyer who represents GCW, has requested an extended time from U.S. Patent and Trademark offices on March 1st to file a formal opposition. The USPTO granted an extension that lasted until May 31st. According to USPTO documents, GCW engaged in settlement discussions. However, GCW owner Brett Lauderdale responded to a fan and stated that they don't want Tony Khan's money. This is what he had to say, and I quote, "GCW has never and will never ask for $1 of Tony Khan's money." End quote. Now this is actually very interesting because since the beginning of AEW, all of the fans have always been wondering, when are we going to get an All Elite Wrestling video game? And this has actually been in the works, like I said, for many years now. Like many years. And it's crazy that every single time it seems that we get to a date or we get to a time span in which we will get the actual release of the video game, something happens where it gets postponed. Now, in this article, it was saying that that GCW had actually gotten into a settlement conversation. So I could definitely see, given the fact that you can already order AEW Fight Forever on pre-order on Amazon.com for the Nintendo Switch, PC, PS5, Xbox, and all of whatever platforms. So AEW is already in the process of having this game be released to the public. So I could see it where Tony Khan, he could go to the president of GCW and say, hey, I understand that you have that trademarked, but is there any agreement that we can come to where I could pay you a certain percentage or, a mass right now so that we could actually still use it for our first video game. Especially with all of these things already being in production. It would be very difficult for AEW to go back and have to completely scrap the artwork or the entire name or all of the little elements in the game that say AEW Fight Forever. It would be another year, 2 years, just with what we've freaking gotten from AEW when it comes to this video game, of it not being released if they don't come to a settlement agreement. Really freaking interesting. But I do believe that Tony Khan does obviously have enough capital that he can just go out and tell them, hey, I'll give you this sum of money if you allow me to use the Fight Forever trademark. Really freaking interesting. A rumor killer on Stone Cold Steve Austin's match against LA Knight at WrestleMania 39. Now, this is what the Spotlight News had to say. Last year, Stone Cold Steve Austin competed in a no-hold-barred match against Kevin Owens in the main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania 38. That was Steve Austin's first match since retiring in 2003. The match received huge praise from the WWE management and fans. Therefore, WWE offered Stone Cold Steve Austin another match at WrestleMania 39 against Brock Lesnar. However, Austin refused WWE's offer. Recently, multiple news outlets reported that Steve Austin is scheduled to compete against LA Knight at WrestleMania 39. They claim that the news was first reported by Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter. In a response to the tweet, Dave Meltzer stated that the news is completely fake. He has this to say, and I quote, "Totally made up story, never said it." End quote. See, this is the thing that I find really, really interesting about, I guess, not only the IWC or the online wrestling media, is that there are some reports and some stories that when you read them, they're just so outlandish that it's how do some people believe these stories or want to go out there and talk about them? You know what I'm saying? But one reason why I wanted to bring this to your guys' attention is not only because it was in the news, because it was a rumor killer, but I also wanted to actually throw out what I had been saying, and that I could see it where LA Knight comes out during WrestleMania and he's cutting a promo, to the crowd. And I could see it where maybe we get LA Knight versus The Undertaker, but the American Badass version of The Undertaker. Because The Undertaker, I feel like he probably left on his last notes of how he previously was going to retire and probably didn't feel very good about just ending it that way. So I could see it, especially with the pop that we've gotten when the American Badass came back, when LA Knight was cutting a promo in the ring. That's the most perfect setup, because then at WrestleMania, LA Knight could be in the middle of the ring cutting a promo, and then we hit the music and you get the American Badass, The Undertaker, coming out and having what could be his last final match in WWE, where he not only hangs up the boots for the Undertaker, the Phenom character, but he also hangs up the boots for the American Badass Undertaker character. So that's just like my prediction on what's going to happen leading into this year's WrestleMania. I don't think WWE is going to announce a match for LA Knight because they're going to want LA Knight to be interrupted when he's cutting a promo this year at WrestleMania. It should be really freaking interesting. But not all of the reports that you read can you believe. And that's why we're here to break down all the real shit and talk about it. Alright, so now a WWE star is dealing with an arm injury. And again, this is also being broken to you guys by the Spotlight News. This is what they had to say. Last week on SmackDown, Ronda Rousey was supposed to team up with Shayna Baszler to face Natalya and Tegan Nox. The match was canceled due to Rousey aggravating a prior injury. PW Torch was the first to report the news, and they stated that Rousey won't miss WrestleMania 39. However, she isn't added to the WrestleMania card yet. It was previously reported that Rousey and Baszler are set to challenge for the women's tag team titles at the Showcase of the Immortals. PW Insider reported that the baddest woman on the planet is currently dealing with a hairline fracture in her arm. This type of injury will take 6 to 8 weeks to heal. PW Insider had this to say, and I quote, "As PWInsider.com reported in the Elite section last week, Ronda Rousey is believed to be dealing with a hairline fracture on her arm. There has been no discussion internally on Rousey being expected to miss WrestleMania weekend." End quote. Ronda Rousey last competed on the February 26th WWE live event, where she teamed with Shayna Baszler to defeat Natalya and Tegan Nox. We will update you when we receive more details. Really, really interesting. Now, we've been getting a lot of reports lately, if you've been looking at the news, about WWE potentially having 2 matches for the SmackDown Women's titles, where they wanted to have it where it would have been still Lita, Trish Stratus, and Bayley versus Damage Control, but then have it on one night where it was Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey versus Lita and Becky Lynch. I don't think that would have worked at all. And I don't really see where Ronda Rousey or Shayna Baszler should really be a part of this year's WrestleMania, because I don't even really agree with the 6-woman tag team match that we're getting. The way that I would have booked it is I would have had Trish Stratus versus Bayley in a singles match, and then I would have still kept Becky Lynch versus Becky Lynch and Lita versus then I would have put Becky Lynch and Lita versus Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler instead of having Damage Control. I wouldn't have had Dakota Kai and Io Sky even participate on WrestleMania just because they haven't done anything on WWE television. Bayley has, Ronda Rousey has, and with Shayna Baszler, and then obviously with Becky Lynch and Lita, that is the most perfect just setup for WrestleMania instead of it having to be a six-woman tag team match, especially when, like, if you have the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships, why are you not putting it on WrestleMania where the Women's Tag Team Championships are actually on the line? I don't really get it. Really interesting, but that's the way that I would have booked it, and it sucks that, Ronda Rousey isn't able to do, like I would have wanted, where it would have been Rousey and Baszler and Lynch and Lita. It still would have just, I don't know, it just sucks, but it is something that, she's obviously gonna miss out on WrestleMania this year, but that does not mean that WWE could not have something in their back pocket for Ronda Rousey leading into next year's WrestleMania at WrestleMania 40, because WWE is going to want to have Ronda Rousey at WrestleMania 40. It's going to be very, very interesting. Now, the next story that we have is obviously what you guys saw in the thumbnail. Rey Mysterio is set to be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2023. And there isn't anybody more that I could feel deserves this spotlight right now than Rey Mysterio. But this is what the Spotlight News had to say on Rey Mysterio being inducted into the Hall of Fame. WWE announces its Hall of Fame class in January. However, the company skipped that tradition this year. Last night, WWE revealed the first inductee into the 2023 Hall of Fame. It's none other than legendary luchador Rey Mysterio. Following the video package, the Master of the 619 came to the ring to address the fans, but was interrupted by Dominic and fellow Judgment Day members. It goes on to say Dominic Mysterio insulted Rey Mysterio and said that Rey doesn't deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Santos Escobar, along with Legado del Fantasma members, then came to the ring to aid Rey Mysterio. The two factions then competed in a 6-man tag team match. Dominic pinned Cruz del Toro after using heel tactics and picked up the win for Judgment Day. Later, Dominic Mysterio invited Rey Mysterio to the ring and said that I should have been Eddie's son. Dominic then forced Rey to hit him. Rey Mysterio then tactfully eliminated Dominic from the ring. Rey Mysterio made his pro wrestling debut in the 80s when he was 14 years old. Rey then wrestled in ECW, WCW, and several independent promotions before joining WWE in 2002. The Biggest Little Man has won numerous championships throughout his 20-plus years of his WWE career. This is just like I said in the beginning. There is nobody more deserving to go into the WWE Hall of Fame than Rey Mysterio, because he is the biggest luchador of all time. And I don't think that there will ever be anybody that will match him for what he's done for the pro wrestling industry. Because I remember growing up, everybody knew the name Rey Mysterio. If you talk to people that are in their 20s or in their maybe, early 30s around this time, everybody knows who Rey Mysterio is. They've heard about it at some point because somebody's brother or little brother or whatever was a fan of Rey Mysterio at some point. He was definitely a name that circulated a lot when it came to professional wrestling. And he was actually somebody that I had first, got introduced to when it came to professional wrestling back in 2005. And watching him be in a tag team with Eddie Guerrero and going through their whole championship reign together, and then it actually ended up that they split it up, and then Eddie had a secret to reveal to Rey Mysterio, and then that's when we got the custody of Dominic ladder match, which is actually what Dominic had pinpointed on his last promo with Rey Mysterio when he was saying that he should have actually been Eddie's son. So it's just really cool that it was all the way back in 2005 when I had first watched that initial story come to fruition. And then now we're here in 2023, 18 years later, where something is being referenced, where only if you understood, that you would actually get that little hint, and it's so interesting to think that it's been that long. It's been 18 years of sitting here and watching pro wrestling, and it is so cool to to actually see something and think back on it, or look at a Rey Mysterio, and look at how young I was when I started watching pro wrestling, and then now he's going into the Hall of Fame. That is just, it is so awesome to see, and there's nobody that is more deserving than Rey Mysterio, because he definitely has the most recognizable mask of possibly all time. Because even if you look at like horror movies, a lot of people know like a Jason mask or a Freddy Krueger mask and whatnot. People also know a Rey Mysterio mask. And that is something that is like really crazy to transcend when you're a professional wrestler. So that is everything that we had to discuss today, are these 4 topics about WWE and AEW news. And this was episode 35 of Interesting Podcast. And again, I want to apologize at the fact that me and Antonio were not able to go live last night for our episode 35 of which was the best era in WWE. But we will get that out to you guys as soon as we can. And we also, again, have some very big announcements coming for Interesting Podcast that we are both very excited for you guys to not only be a part of, but for us to be able to break it to you live together. It's going to be freaking awesome. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Ring that notification bell so you guys get notified whenever I upload content. Make sure to go and follow me on social media at CodyT503. That's Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And I will be back live, or not live, but I will be back this Thursday for some more WWE news. And me and Antonio will make sure that we are live this Saturday for our actual I apologize. Me and Antonio will be live this Saturday for episode 37, where we can actually talk about which era was the best in WWE. Gosh, I hate it when that happens. You sit here and stumble on your words. But anyways, thank you guys so very much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. And this was Interesting Podcast episode 35. I'll catch you guys later.